Why, hello and welcome to all of you out there in the non-space that is the internet. I'm your host, J Ishiro Finney, author and alien, and this is Ishi's Great Big Alien Show with my lovely human co-host,
Kat Rocha, the night editor. And yes, the Ishi is all alien for you this evening.
Now, as I always say at the beginning of these shows, I must give a warning that this is the show where the truth isn't out there. The truth is right here in front of you. And the truth is, I've come out of the human suit. I've ceased to pretend that I'm a skeptic. I ceased to pretend that I don't believe in any of this stuff, and I'm just telling you the truth. And that's right. This is the no bullshit, unclassified, top secrets revealed show.
We are totally going all deep throat.
This is really serious, and it's deep throating.
Yes.
So we'll see how long this lasts. We'll see if YouTube censors this truth. Well, we've got some questions as usual.
Yes, we do. Our first question comes from Zell1111, who asks, "Are Bigfoots gay?"
Why the fuck would I know? I'm not a Bigfoot.
Well, but you're an alien.
It's not like we all know each other and hang out at the same club or something. Well, I told you there's no gays in my species because we kind of screwed up with that.
On the other hand, I suppose the big question is that, are you talking about a single Bigfoot or like the entire species? But I suppose they wouldn't really last very long if they were all gay, would they?
No. Well, the thing is we're trying to engineer the gay gene back into my species because we engineered it out, and it was a really bad idea. It was one of the biggest mistakes we made. Like I said, we don't get any good techno music anymore.
Yeah, your people's music sucks.
Our fashion is really lame. Our parties
have no fashion.
Our parties aren't any good anymore. I mean, it was kind of a mistake doing that.
Yeah, no, not good. I mean, come on. You don't even have good hairstyles.
Yeah, exactly. We have no hair.
Yeah.
And I would argue that our music's good. We just don't have any good house music.
No, you can't dance to it.
No.
Maximal.
Oh, that and our interior decorating sucks.
Yeah.
It's pretty sparse.
I mean, I like the chrome wall look, but not everywhere.
Yeah.
Although, it is a shame that your people didn't figure out that cool look from Flight of the Navigator with all the neat, intricate designs on the walls. I mean, that's cool with the silver.
We're pretty minimalist.
Yeah.
Just like this room.
Yes, your room is pretty minimalist, but I know that helps you to feel at home.
It does, actually. Keeps my brain calm.
Maximal.
Hey, speaking of rooms,
yes.
This is my office. It's my space, and it is very minimalist and very orderly with lots of angular shapes, and white and black tones.
Mm-hmm.
But the main room is the night editors, and I like bringing this up. That you come into my room
because the night belongs to editors.
Yes, and like I said, everything's angular, white and black, very minimalistic. And then you go into the parts of the house she's decorated, and it's like skulls and gargoyles and candelabras and dead things.
Yeah, well, I don't have actual dead things. I have a thing about taxidermy. I do like bones, though.
Well, you have a fake dead crow.
I do, but that's a skull.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not into taxidermy. I don't know.
You have fake skeletons.
I have fake skeletons. I don't have any real ones. Not yet, anyway.
And you said yourself that if you could, you'd have broadswords on the wall.
Oh, yeah, totally. But I have a rule where, like, if I'm going to have a weapon, damn it, I should be able to pull it off the wall and use it. So I'm not going to spend money on, just some display piece. That's bullshit. No, if I'm going to get a sword, it's going to be properly balanced and it's going to be honed so that I can cleave someone in two.
That's good. Okay, let's get to another question.
Maximal Awesome asks, do Greys have their own kind of alcoholic drink?
Well, it's actually a sign of any advanced civilization to have two things. Every advanced civilization, Earth or elsewhere, has these two things. They develop booze and pornography.
Mhm.
Those are the signs of an advanced civilization.
That's why the Romans were awesome. Same with the Japanese.
So, yes, we've got booze and we have pornography. And what's our booze like? Well, you know, as I said, a large portion of our language is comprised of strictly visuals and mental images that don't have phonetic words. So I can't give you the names of our alcoholic drinks, but we do prefer a blue tone to our liquids. And I would
like Romulan ale.
I guess, I don't know. Yeah, probably. I think that's a good. I don't know. It really wouldn't qualify as ale though, because I really we have on Serpa, we have like our own version of wood grain alcohol, rice alcohol, and then there are these things on our planet that are like half tree, half meat, and you ferment those. I mean, it doesn't taste very good, but it's like wormwood. But really, you know, zeta reticulin alcohol is okay. But the one that you really want to get into is the planet where the squids came from. Because aquatic species make the best liquor because all of their liquor involves submerging your entire body in it.
Oh, so it uses osmosis to...
Yeah, and you drink it. So, I mean, if you really want to get fucked up and have a great party, you go to one of their jacuzzi parties and you just hop on in.
But what if someone backwashes?
But at that point, you don't care. You're flying. Do you really think about it at that point?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, do fish care about other fish peeing?
Or making love in the water?
Exactly.
So tell me, are you a beer, wine, or hard liquor kind of alien?
Depends. I would say that there have been phases where it was wine, and then there have been phases where it was Sailor Jerry.
Going back to the nautical, there you go.
Yeah, well, space.
Or are you a salty dog?
Yeah. I see where you're going with this. This is just opening the door for all sorts of innuendo, isn't it?
Or are you a pirate?
Okay, we got another question. I'm not letting you go there, damn it. This is too soon. I'm not ready for this.
You're right. I can't rush it. No. LND.
Yeah. You need to slow it.
Slow it. I gotta warm you up to it.
Yes.
LND asks, are cell towers mind control?
Yes. All right. So
okay.
So before we get to the main topic, which is ancient aliens, and the show and the guy with the weird hair, I keep forgetting his name.
Real quick, I know last time we took a couple of questions from...
Oh, yeah. Why don't we do
from
that?
the floor.
Why don't we take some questions from the floor? You know, we need to get the Mad Ginger on this show.
Yeah, we do. I don't know. The ancient alien guy kind of looks like the Mad Ginger.
I think that's kind of insulting to the Mad Ginger.
No. He could be our ancient alien guy. Victoria says, as Gray, do you think it's possible for humans to gain superpowers in the future?
Yeah. Well, I mean, from our perspective, you have superpowers already because, I mean, think about it in perspective. Well, the average Gray is around 3'5", 3'11", between there. We're not very strong. We have to rely on human suits or telekinesis to lift things because we're not all that strong. And our women don't have tits, and those things are fucking mind control. You want to talk mind control? Pair of knockers is mind control. Okay, so that's superpowers right there. I mean, your entire species has super strength compared to us. We can't swim very well. No. But can humans develop superpowers in the conventional sense? Yeah, absolutely. Let's say.
Anime acid trip. Squids are aliens? Holy shit. I thought bees are aliens, but never squids. Also, do fish actually pee? Actually, I didn't think squids were. I thought octopi were.
Well, it was squids and octopi. It's kind of like us and chimps, where there's humanity, there's the greys, there's the reptilians, there's the chimps. There's all one common lineage, but the chimps are the retards of the bunch. And so, the octopi are the super smart ones, and the squid are kind of the retarded uncle who makes moonshine.
No, I thought the retarded uncle were the cuttlefish because they're even lower on the totem pole.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
You couldn't tell me. But anyway, okay.
So, just
I can
fish
get
pee,
into,
right?
I can get into them if you wanted me to.
I mean, I saw a fish take a dump once. It wasn't pleasant. I'm serious.
Well, anybody who's had goldfish or guppies shit all over the place. That's weird watching guppies.
Those are like little frogs, though.
Guppies?
Oh, no, those are tadpoles.
No, guppies are, they're little fish, but they're see-through.
Yeah.
So you can watch the food go through them and then come out. It's kind of weird in a cool way, but then they swim around with us just dangling off of them, and it's just, no.
Alas, we did not have our own fish in space.
No? You did not have fish in space?
No.
No. Oh, Dark Stranger, you did not live. You don't wonder. You were deprived as a tiny little gray boy.
Another thing about getting rid of all the gays of our species. All our food sucks.
Yeah, you didn't have sushi, did you? Till you got
No, we don't have any good cooks.
No, of course you don't eat much.
Well, it's intravenous now, so
yeah. See, you miss out on the past. You miss out on the past.
Mistakes were made in our our race to improve ourselves. We got the gigantic brains, but we engineered boobs out of our species. We engineered the gays out of our species. We don't eat with our mouth. We kind of screwed up here, but we're really smart, sorta, I guess.
Well, no. Well, smarts does not denote wisdom, as anybody who plays D&D can tell you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, really smart doesn't mean you make good decisions.
No, I mean, look at a lot of Mensa members.
We kept abducting those cows, trying to figure out if we could inject beef and still get the flavor.
Is that what you guys were trying to do?
We wanted barbecue too, damn it.
I just figured you were trying to figure out a new way to make cheese. Dark Stranger, evening. Curious about a rumor that Razorfist is actually some dimensional traveling celestial. As a Grey, do you have any info to validate this claim or not?
Is he an actual dimension traveling celestial? I do not know. I do not have any information that could confirm such a thing. I have not yet run across him here in the land of Arizona, or his motorcycle, or his cool leather jacket. But I can tell you he is way too damn cool to be a Grey. I mean, he's the way, look.
Well, he's got that theme song that follows him around.
Yeah, he does have that theme song that, he enters through the door, and I'm sure the music comes with him.
Yeah.
But, if he's an interdimensional traveler of some sort, or... what was it? So are we talking celestials like in Marvel Comics celestials, or are we talking more like the Chinese speak of the celestials?
That's a good question, because when the Chinese speak of the celestials, they're kind of speaking of your people.
I really think when it comes down to it, the true fact is that Razorfist is the embodiment of metal. That after so many decades of metal being churned out over stereos and metal heads, that there was a form of true heavy metal that came together, just as different animist beings, have come together to represent aspects of nature. So, there are yokai that represent various water spirits, and, there's internet spirits. Well, yeah, I think that essentially Razorfist is a being of pure metal.
I think he's the runoff of essence from Lemmy, because how nature abhors a vacuum. And
when Lemmy died and Razor became.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
So there you go. There you go. Razorfist became when Lemmy left us.
Yeah, you know, well, no, because he predates Lemmy.
He does, but no, I mean, like he was imbued with the essence of Lemmy.
Okay, I think that's it for the questions.
Okay.
Is that really a question?
Ricky Joya, they fear an uprising, so they tell people weapons are evil.
You're talking about...
He might be conversing with people in the chat. Ginger, I am 110 times sexier than that guy. Oh, I know you are. That's why I want you on our show.
Okay, let's see.
Aged Boomer, what is the deal with those strange statues on Easter Island? Are those aliens?
No, actually, you had a theory on what those things were.
What, the Easter Island?
Yeah.
Alien? Well, no, I don't think that they're aliens. The cool thing for those of you who don't know, I mean, I think this became public knowledge already, but for those of you who don't know, those are full statues. Those aren't just heads. I mean, they have bodies that have been implanted in there.
Oh, how big are the bodies?
They're huge.
I kind of find it hard to believe that there's a full-size body under there.
There is. Seriously, they excavated one.
I'm going to have to look that up later.
No, it looks kind of like a bobblehead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, yeah, you would be talking about something that would be several stories high.
No. But there is a body under there. The head is about half of it. So, there's been several theories.
I think they're like stones of blood from the old Doctor Who episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're from, oh crap, what was the planet that the Ogre were from?
That what in
Ogros, that's where they're from.
In certain moonlight, they come to life and eat people for their blood.
What, the Easter Island ones?
Yeah. That's my theory.
And they, or you could say that they have like the spirits of prisoners in there, and that's why they're buried up to their necks, because it's torture for them.
Okay.
But anyway. Oh, anime acid trip. Talk about how Grays learned English. I'd like to know how you can learn such a complex language in a short amount of time.
Well, we've been here before you. I mean, we've been around. We were with you the whole time that language developed, but easy, telepathy.
That's good. Trenton, humans are future space orcs. I have no comment to that.
I guess.
LK, just some tinkering with DNA, right? Then presto, superpowers.
Exactly.
No. We got to go through the Tarragon mist. I said it wrong on purpose.
Or gamma rays.
No. You go through the mist, you get high, and then when you come out, you got superpowers. Like the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Artificer Joni, are you aliens responsible for any human religions?
Well, now we're getting into the territory of ancient aliens and getting into trouble for things.
Real quick, if we're getting into ancient aliens, which is, of course, the topic of this evening's discussion, should we table this question till we get into it?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so...
I like this comment.
The ginger orc, squids and cuttlefish ate lead paint chips. I love that. Anybody watch the Octopus channel? That channel is, just amazingly fascinating because of all the different things that they have the octopi do and all the things that they learn.
Told you they're aliens.
Yeah, they are.
They like metal.
They like metal, but they're also somewhat colorblind, which I thought was fascinating.
They did music tests on them. They liked heavy metal best.
That's great. You know what? I didn't see that episode. I just saw the color test one. Anyway, also the one where they put a mirror in front of it. That was interesting. Cesario, if there are reptilian aliens, are there amphibian aliens?
Yeah, I told you, cephalopods. They make great booze.
Cephalopods aren't amphibians.
Oh, amphibians. Oh, like frogmen?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that you could qualify that. Yeah, they're amphibious species. None of them are here, though.
Oh yeah, you said that Earth is kind of a no-go zone.
Yeah. We made kind of a treaty with the council, and there was 36 different species there, and we kind of claimed Earth as our petri dish, and then the reptilians decided that the planet was theirs instead, and it's been a shit show ever since.
Turf wars.
Every once in a while, we'll give like a day pass, and some other species will show up and prank you guys. But
what is it like? On Halloween, so that way nobody notices.
Exactly.
Lemon Razor. So here's an ancient alien question for you. Apparently, the Mars rover identified a radioactive isotope that can only appear after a nuke goes off all over Mars. Was that y'all?
Oh, you're talking about the nuclear war that happened way back when. Yeah, that's another one of our conflicts. We had set up a base there, and turned out that the Reptoids had gotten there first, and they claimed it was their homeland, and there was a disagreement, and things happened, and mistakes were made.
I just gotta say, I can't see Mars rover without actually getting depressed, because the thing sings happy birthday to itself every year, all alone on that little planet. That's just the saddest thing I've ever heard. Anime acid trip. Do the Greys have the ability to cross dimensions? If so, teach me how, as I have plans. Details later. I want to cut. Whatever money you're making, I want to cut.
Okay, so yes, we actually do a lot of wormhole hopping to get here and move around quickly. But can you do it? Well, that's a little bit more difficult, you see.
He's opening up folders.
As your own species has found.
He's searching for pictures.
You guys have reverse engineered a number of our ships already, but you can't really get them to go because you lack the rare element to power it. Now, you've created unstable versions of it, but you haven't been able to make one that actually keeps. So until you can do that, you're kind of up shit creek.
Is it like Einsteinium or some of those other elements that only last for like 2 seconds?
You guys have only been able to keep it around for a few seconds. But yeah, we've made a stable version of it, trying to get the exact chemical compound of it. Oh, I can't find it. As usual. Well, anyway.
You'll find it later, and then we can put it up on another episode. Or put it up later this episode if you find it. Just think of the possibilities. Elton, so what about those events in Brazil? What are you up to?
Well, I told you I need to, you know what? Okay, fine. We'll do that show next week. Okay. Elton's asked twice, and Brazil is like its own case. Yeah, the number of cases there are unique because, naturally there are a ton of them in the U.S. There's a fair amount of them in the USSR, but they're less willing to talk about it.
Well, you guys like harassing them.
Well, that's true. There's plenty in the UK. Europe has had plenty. But then the rest of the world gets kind of sparse, and they all start turning into religious sightings. But Brazil is unique, and there's been a lot of activity. Actually, I think one predates the Betty and Barney Hill case even as the first abduction. So we'll get to that next week because the Villaboa case is really interesting because you got a space STD.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What is it, like space herpes, or is that the space AIDS that everyone keeps bringing up?
Well, actually, after the aliens took him up in space and gave him a wild ride with a tall white, when they dropped him back off, he had radiation poisoning, some weird burns, and a weird ring of blisters around the head of his dong.
Ugh.
And that's medically confirmed.
Really?
This is not making that up. That really.
Oh my lord.
And the spot in the field where they grabbed him is also radioactive. Or was.
Okay, dude, that's pretty awesome. Like, well, it's not awesome, but you know what I mean. Endless Nocturne. There was another Earth in a parallel dimension. Victoria Fagbile. It's gone now because Hillary won in that universe.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about the time in which Keck saved us when we won the meme war, and then transitioned our timeline into the Berenstenian universe. And rather, that's where all the Mandela effect occurrences at first really started to pop up, was that we were shifting the timeline that way. All hail to Keck for saving us in that timeline. May he rise again and save us again. The meme war is here.
Kind of like when Trunks came back to save us from Cell.
Right.
Victoria, is the Mandela effect real, and do you aliens have something to do with it?
Yes and no. Part of it has to do with Keck, and then there are the forces of the Illuminatus trying to foil Keck in saving us, using the Hadron Collider to alter history to the negative timeline. But so far, the powers of meme magic has been more powerful.
What do you think of the fact that they're building another collider?
Just shows that their other collider was a little too short and limp for defeating the forces of meme magic.
Okay, or we need the evil tachyons, thank you, to explode a missile over New York, which affects 10% of the population, kills 90% of the ones infected, and then 1% of the remaining get cool powers while the rest become mutated.
I take that back. That isn't tachyon. That is tachons.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't always mess up what I read. Endless Nocturne. Is your council as corrupt as the United Nations? Are the Reptoids on the council board of investigations?
Well, one of the benefits of having a gigantic brain is no, we don't have that problem. Oh, you mean the galactic? Yeah. Yes, it's as screwed up as... I thought you meant the Greys. No, we just have one major disagreement, and that's how hands-on we should be with your species, and that's kind of gotten messy.
Well, you're pretty hands-on with me.
I'm not going there.
No, you'll go there later. So what is the Galactic Council kind of like the Federation as depicted in that abomination Picard?
No, I would think it's more like a Monty Python sketch.
Like a Monty Python sketch.
So getting into the topic before they launch out more questions.
Yes. Okay. We'll get back to your questions later, guys.
And eventually, so you know what? No, goddamn it, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it because we missed it last week.
Okay.
We're going to read Anime Acid Trip's real life UFO sighting.
Okay, we're reading it right now. This is from Anime Acid Trip, our very own Anime
because
Acid Trip.
we tried to do it last week, but the same thing happened. The chat went amok and we lost track.
All right, so we're gonna rein in this muck and we're reading this story. And Anime Acid Trip says he was up playing games one night when the power went out. He wanted to see if the wind was blowing super hard because he could hear the breeze going through the trees next to my bedroom window. When he
he's talking about a friend of his.
Okay. When he went outside, he saw a bright light hanging above the mountain, unblinking and unswayed by the wind. He wasn't sure if it was a helicopter, so he got my binoculars. He didn't see anything, but the bright light, it made me feel uneasy and frightened. He stared at it for half an hour, and at one point, it dived into a smaller piece, moving perfectly horizontal away from the main light for a bit. Eventually, he got too tired to watch any longer and fell asleep. When he woke up, he went to check if maybe it was a cell tower, but nothing was there. That's pretty good.
So getting into, I wanted to mention some other things about the Mandela effect.
Okay.
Now realize avoiding the Hillary apocalypse universe, which no longer exists,
Mm-hmm.
did come at a price. And there were some things we lost, like that great scene in Moonraker where, you know, Jaws smiles and he has the big shiny teeth, and then the cute nerd girl smiles and she has braces. That disappeared.
Yeah.
Now she just has regular teeth. It's not really funny anymore.
No.
In fact, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It's very odd that even such there's even a time continuum where that's even an option.
I mean, yeah. Why would that even exist in a various timeline that we absorbed? But apparently, so I guess in some alternate timeline, the director thought, "Hey, we'll just have them smile at each other."
It's like,
and now that's what we got. Or why the hell does the dash keep disappearing and reappearing in Coca-Cola? Does that really matter?
Not really, no. Or you know, there's the is it the BMW logo?
The VW logo.
The VW logo
keeps getting that line disappearing and reappearing. It's just, you know, little pointless things. Jiffy peanut butter.
Yeah, yeah, Jif.
And there are many minor ones that don't really matter. But, you know, Moonraker being a less funny movie did kind of seem to be a little bit of a price.
Well, that one's odd.
The movement and placement of organs of the human body, a little strange, but not to be surprised. Now, if we get a full flip where our organs reverse, that's when you really got to worry.
I know that's happened to people.
Where they wake up one day and their organs have reversed?
No, they're born that way.
Well, I'm saying if one day the entire human species is like it, that's when you got to worry. Okay, so Ancient Aliens.
Reminds me of a Goosebumps book.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember which one it was, but basically the kid had a doppelganger from the Mirrorverse, literally from the mirror, come into our reality.
I remember that.
And then they had to go into the other reality, and then it turned out that the brother didn't make it out, and they figured it out because he was usually left-handed. So anyway, aged boomer, are there alien drug lords that harvest human endorphins like in that movie I Come in Peace starring Dolph Lundgren?
They're called essentially they're the neolibs, Hillary Clinton and Bill and Jeff Epstein. That they were harvesting adrenochrome and distributing it and selling it to their buddies on the island. So yeah, actually that movie was a bit of a documentary, except they're not nearly as cool as Dolph Lundgren.
No, and now I'm sad because it's actually really disgusting.
Yeah, well, so
I mean, no, poor kids had, yeah.
Let's not go there.
You know, if anybody knows how
adrenochrome
is harvested.
You know what's a little odd about adrenochrome and some of the other weird shit is you start reading Hunter S. Thompson and you realize a lot of what he's saying isn't a joke.
Yeah.
He's saying things that he's really seeing through a filter of absurdity so that no one figures it out. Just like the fact that he wrote a bit about Nixon having a Vietnamese mistress in Long Beach that turned out to be true.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Well, we know Nixon really wasn't racist.
No, he was not.
So, getting to Ancient Aliens, of course, I suppose the big one that everyone always wants to ask about is pyramids. Are the pyramids built by aliens? Now, this is one that really annoys you.
Yeah, it does.
Get into it.
It really does. I really love ancient Egypt. I have ever since I was little, and I've done a lot of study. No, I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know enough. And it really bothers me anytime anybody pulls out that Chariot of the Gods bullshit and says that the pyramids were made by aliens, because it diminishes the accomplishments of, you know, our ancient forebearers, and specifically the great architect Imhotep.
And that's what I wanted to get to the answers. No, aliens did not build, Greys, Reptoids. No, none of us had anything to do with the actual construction or design of the pyramids. No, we just offered a few tips here and there. It's like, when you've got dad teaching his kid how to ride the bicycle. Who's really riding the bike? Do you credit dad for riding the bike when the kid gets on and rides it around, or you credit the kid and dad just gave him some pointers? So, no. Humans made the pyramids. We just kind of hung out and stood to the side and said every once in a while, maybe a pseudo arch might work there, Or,
Well, so with that said, I gotta ask, at what point did your people step in? He built like 3 or 4 pyramids before he built the Great Pyramid.
we were there the whole way. We saw some talent in them after he built that first step pyramid. And you just thought we'd hang out. We were so impressed after the fact. We're like, you know what? You're good. You're good at this, Imhotep. And so we abducted him and we took him to Mars and we hired him to make our own pyramids there. And yeah, I know, everyone says, oh, they're pyramids first on Mars. No, it was the other way around. Imhotep built them here. And we were so damn impressed, we took him to Mars to build us some pyramids as well. And we said, just make them bigger. That's all we cared, make them bigger so we can brag and say ours are bigger. And then we had that nuclear war.
And then they got bloated.
Oh, yeah. They survived, but you don't want to go there now.
No, you get, you lose your nads. So with that said, Victoria, I got a question. Is ancient Egyptian people black or white?
Ancient Egyptian people were the same color they are today.
Yeah. The people that are there today are the same people that have always been there.
That's your answer. I mean, it doesn't really get any more complicated than that. I mean, I suppose you could explain to them the color coding system.
Oh, on their artwork?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Their artwork is pretty cool. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to Egypt, Egypt started off as being a series of little cults. And then I don't remember the name of the pharaoh. He's considered the first real pharaoh. United the two groups. You had the Egyptians that lived near the Nile Delta in northern Egypt, known as Lower Egypt, and I can explain that to you later why they did that. But that was considered the civilized area. And then as you went further south down the Nile or to Upper Egypt, I know it's confusing. You got less and less civilized, and you had one pharaoh unite the two halves together. And when he did that, he basically said, okay, everybody who has all of their different little cults and they have all their different little versions of the different gods and goddesses, you know what? Everything is canon and everything is good. So what I'm going to say to you is the general thought or rule, but it's not by no means it encompasses everything. And that is, in Egyptian art, they had kind of a color coding system when they would draw people. So even though you would see people on the walls with like the dark ebony black skin, or even their statues that had the dark black ebony skin, that didn't necessarily mean that they were dark skinned. It actually has symbolism. Now, what it is, I honestly couldn't tell you. And that's the other thing, is that sometimes it did mean dark skin, but other times it didn't.
Well, like, why were certain people always portrayed as green? Were they reptilians?
No, they weren't.
I think they were reptilians.
They weren't reptilians.
Reptilians had their, that was the problem. Is that was one of the areas that we first started arguing and getting into fights. Is we'd show up and hang out with the Egyptians, then we'd leave, and next thing you know, they're worshiping snakes. And it's like, oh, I guess who was here?
No, I thought there was the fact that you guys were pissed off that their main patriarch was green, and you thought was a lizard. But no, he's dead. If they're green, it means they're dead.
Yeah?
Yeah. Osiris is Lord of the Underworld.
So green, like rotting.
Yes, exactly. In fact, Osiris died not once, but twice. Yeah, he is good and dead. The second time, they even chopped him up into little pieces. And a certain body part was never recovered.
and it fell into the Nile.
It fell.
And
No, it didn't fall in. It got thrown in, and Dagon ate it.
Yeah, the god Dagon ate it.
Yes.
He ate his schlong.
And he became a mighty fish.
By eating a god's schlong.
Yes.
So that's right. If you want to be a mighty fish, eat an Egyptian god's dick, and
there you go. Well, then there's the story of the rape of Horus.
Okay, we're going to move on. We're not going there. That's a fun story, but no.
We're not going there. That's changing the subject there. Oh, okay.
I just don't want to get into too much. I don't want to get this stream killed.
No, not like last night. Elton, what about American pyramids? You guys also gave some tips. Did you know about the sacrifices later?
No. See, now we're getting into the whole reptoid thing. That was the competitive part during the conflict. You know, their various claims on territory. Now, our biggest problem is that the Greys don't deal well with gravity, with your Earth gravity. We're used to about 0.75 Earth gravity, so that's why we prefer the moon. So we don't get to spend long periods of time down here, and we had to use tall whites as our emissaries and agents on Earth, which just made it more difficult. They're constantly horny, by the way. That made it difficult. So, there was a lot of back and forth, and for a large period of time, Mesoamerica was all completely reptoid territory. They're still got bases all over there underground. And as a competition thing, they said, okay, well, fuck it. We're going to make step pyramids instead, and encouraged the Mesoamericans to do that. And then the next thing you know, they're worshiping winged snakes, and there's constant sacrifices and cannibalism. We don't do that. No cannibalism with no. Now, the cannibalism is a really big deal with reptoids.
Yeah, does your people, do they have their own version of long pig?
No. I told you, all food is intravenous.
You know what long pig is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, going back to Mesoamerica, then since somebody did bring up Easter Island, what about the Olmec, the heads?
Don't know enough about the Olmec.
Oh, okay. Then it's not your people. Your people did not create the Olmec. And no, I'm not talking about the host of Legends of the Hidden Temple for those 90s kids out there. Victoria, I asked because they debated whether ancient Egyptians are black or white. No, that is a good question, but the answer is neither.
Egyptians are Egyptian.
Yes.
They're the people we see there today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I realize there's a lot of interest in revisionist history, and every culture is guilty of it. I mean, every culture is guilty of it. I mean, look at the sheer amount of hero worship and noble savage retellings of the Native Americans we have. I mean, most of that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. Most of they enslaved each other. They waged huge wars. They wiped out forests and killed off all sorts of species of animal with this whole idea they lived in harmony with the land. Totally not true. Mm-hmm. And we see that, what was it? We see a lot of Brits go native at a country and try and rewrite or do a revisionist history of that land, or mm-hmm. Oh, well, Jesus, the all-time favorite revisionist history. The Nazi Germany. There you go.
There you go.
That's a revisionist history. It wasn't even we're kangs. It was we're gods.
Yeah.
We were descended from the giants and the Ubermensch. Yeah. So, it's just common to make these revisionist histories. But yeah, truth be told, Egyptians were Egyptian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're still there.
They're still there. The same people. Elton, goddess of poison, edgy.
Yeah, the thing is, it's interesting about the Aztec and Mayan gods is you read about them, and they're reptoids because every single fucking one of them is something and death. Mm-hmm. They're all something, sun and death, god of the harvest and death, god of rain and death. And what is it? They have so many days on the calendar where infants have to be sacrificed, and I mean, it was a pretty bloody religion near the end there, which is kind of fascinating.
Well, the thing with the Aztecs is that they were actually a pretty young civilization. I mean, it took them 100 years to go from literally mud waddles in the swamp to the great empire that we know them to be. And then they were that for another 100, possibly, I think 100 to 200 years. And then their decline was just as rapid. I mean, it's amazing how quickly they went up and came back down. And really, what did it was the fact that the weather, started kicking their asses.
Drought destroyed them, essentially.
Yeah, drought destroyed them. Well, they were a racket. They were a protection racket. A lot of people don't know that, but the Aztec civilization was a protection racket. They'd go to a village or a civilization and say, unless you pay us what we want, we're going to kick your ass. But if you pay us what we want, we'll protect you from that village over there from kicking your ass. And that's how the Aztec Empire was built. Anyway, Trenton to Victoria. Some early pharaohs had Caucasoid features, including red hair. But during the Bronze Age, there was a lot of marriages between Assyrians and the Minoans, etc. That is very true.
Well, what's interesting about that is there had been those genetic tests that were done on a lot of the royalty of the Egyptians, and they found that there was a lot of Persian and Hungarian DNA that they found in the royalty, at least. And there does seem to be an interesting way of tracking. Well, okay, there's not any hard science on that, but there is a lot of supporting evidence of you can actually follow the trail of, starting in Syria into Egypt, into China, and then forking off as well Egypt and into, the Basque Republic, and then all the way up into the British Isles.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, right? And the idea that there was, 75,000 years ago, there was a mass migration back into Egypt is now, not Egypt, Africa, is now showing that actually probably didn't happen. What we're finding instead was that there probably was a lot of trade routes. And when you get trade, people have sex.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. People trade, people have sex. And the difficult part and the weird part is that it was, there was this massive amount of back and forth between Europe, China, and the northern African continent, the Mediterranean. But then you said everything south of the Congo was just cut off? It was just impassable?
Pretty much, yeah. They didn't like going down into the Congo.
It was just too perilous?
Oh, yeah. Well, the Congo's the thick jungle. Everything in there is trying to kill you. I mean, it's like the Amazon. Actually, I think it might be worse than the Amazon. LK, I thought you ate mermaid flesh to gain immortality. Lemon Razor, I ate a mermaid once. All I got was crabs. Well, mermaids like to have pearl necklaces.
Wow.
Ricky, didn't the ancient Greeks claim that the gods of Egypt were their Olympians in the skies? No, very close. What it is the Greeks and the Egyptians did a lot of trade very early on. And they found that a lot of their gods were very similar to each other. So when they did converse with them, that was a point that they had that was similar. They can say, oh, well, you're my god Hermes, but you call him Thoth. They had a lot of one-for-ones or close enough that it gave them a commonality. So that's what it was. In fact, in the legend of when Osiris dies the first time, his body was put into a tree log, which was shoved down the Nile and washed up on the banks of Greece, and then was used as one of the main pillars for was it a temple to? It was either a temple to Zeus or it was a temple to Athena. I don't remember. I think it was to Zeus. So just the fact that that's in like one of their oldest stories about their patriarch god, just shows how much they did a lot of business with the Greeks. Cesario, so how did Olmec from Legends of the Hidden Temple gather all those treasures from around the world in time? He must have been an alien. I love that show.
So
what were you? Were you a blue barracuda? I seriously doubt that you were the lizard group. You didn't watch the show, did you?
No.
That's a little after your time.
Yes.
Yeah. That show was great.
You know, now they're just asking real history questions.
Okay. Neostar, god of cigars and death.
Yeah, I think we're going way too away from the fringe. We're not talking fringe stuff anymore. We're talking
cake and death.
Regular history. Someone, they want to know what long pig is.
Oh, long pig is the term for human flesh. So anytime you hear anybody use the term long pig, they're talking about human flesh. That's because human flesh apparently is supposed to taste like pork. And I've actually had some people confirm that they know from experience. So
did somebody cut their finger off, cook it up, and eat it?
Close. The submariner that I knew in high school, they had a fire on board, and somebody got barbecued, and he said that it smelled exactly like roasted pig.
Okay, so you were going to ask me about something else in terms of ancient aliens.
Well, going back to the pyramids of Mars, that of course begs the question: what's with the face? What's with your face?
Well, you know, we had that face, and it looked pretty good, and it was kind of like, essentially, it was like a giant sandcastle. You know, it was like, you know, we decided to do it for fun, and you guys happened to see it, and it was kind of funny.
Is it like in Mars Attacks where they were using their saucers to like carve things out and stuff? Were you doing that?
It was tractor beam. We just said, you know, they've got that probe coming out here. Let's make a face for them to see.
Is that why it doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah, but you notice you go back there, and you know, just like sandcastle, it got blown over. It doesn't look like that anymore.
So who was it supposed to be?
Huh?
Who is the face supposed to be? I mean, there is that
Alex Trebek.
Wow. So is he one of yours, or is it simply
we just like Jeopardy? You
just like Jeopardy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, I want the Daily Double.
It's like, hey, what will happen when they fly over and see Alex's face there, you know?
Elton, Atlantis, what about that? Existed? You guys trolled people?
Okay. The Atlanteans were tall whites. They had their own island. Then there was the other island. Oh God, what was it? Lemuria, which was a proto-reptilian civilization, and they got into a big fight, and our guys lost, and they sank the island. And well, now they've got kind of like they domed it over, and it's like underground down under the ocean, and there are a lot of like people from the 1980s. So they all have 80s haircuts and new wave Vans, and
so they're like a village of sea monkeys under the ocean.
Yeah. It's perpetually stuck in the 80s. It's not a bad place to go.
Do they have good music?
Yeah.
Sweet. Cesario. Okay, back on topic. Are there any ancient history points that the Greys will categorically deny have a hand in?
Okay, you know that whole thing about they found the was it the women comely?
Uh-huh.
We didn't do that. No,
No,
categorically deny it.
no,
We didn't swipe any women and get busy with them.
no.
No, no, not had nothing to do with it. Nope,
No space babies?
nope. Categorically deny it. And and then there was the whole bit about Ezekiel's wheel.
Yeah, what's about Ezekiel's wheel? I was going to ask you about that.
I'm not. I am not confirming or denying that we did have top-shaped saucers and we gave somebody a ride.
So I explain Ezekiel's wheel for those who may not know what that is.
Well, Ezekiel's wheel is one of the many first texts. That was actually the inspiration for Chariot of the Gods, the very first Ancient Aliens text, I believe. And it was what first got the idea moving. And it's an actual interesting piece of writing. And it describes what could be interpreted as a visitation from aliens in a top-shaped craft with wheel-type devices. There was a NASA scientist who got very obsessed with the story and did invent a unique form of two-way wheel using the text as a guide, which is kind of twisted and interesting. Let's see. I mean, do you really want to read it? I've got it right here.
Sure. I just figured, many people might not know what Ezekiel's wheel was, so I figured it'd be important.
It says, so this will probably bore the hell out of everyone, but it says,
okay, the book of Ezekiel begins with the remarkable vision that has caused so much excitement among modern ufologists. It is helpful to know that the essential ingredients of Ezekiel's story before looking at the modern interpretation. It says, quote, "Now it came to pass in the 13th year of the 4th month." That's boring. I'm just going to.
Yeah, truncate it.
Yeah, let's see here. Crap, it just keeps going. Ezekiel goes on to describe how each of the four, quote, living creatures had an identical shining wheel that accompanied them even when they rose from the ground. Two things were strange about the wheels. They were constructed as though one wheel was inside the other, and they could move in any direction without turning. So, yeah.
And that the craft that they arrived in sounded like the ocean crashing when it lifted off.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it jetted fire.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was described as looking kind of like a top-shaped saucer. I forget why we went down this path.
Yeah, my brain's not holding on to things either.
No.
Cooper, are xenomorphs real, and have you seen any lately?
Well, xenomorph essentially means alien life form, but as in Giger, no.
Well, I haven't seen chest bursters, but I've got some shirt bursters.
Okay, we've been at this for an hour. I'm kind of running out of steam unless you guys can ask some really bizarre questions or make Kat say something perverse.
Oh, great. Now you got me on the spot.
I mean, really, I guess we got a bit into the Egyptian thing, which is one of your real passions.
A little bit. I mean, I could go on forever.
You know, she's got canoptic jars.
I do. Well, I've got one. I don't have the other three. But I do have one. It's got Dwarfemet's head on it. Eloise, did you guys know Gilgamesh, Vishnu, and Buddha? What about Jesus? How did they react to the Greys?
They were all tall whites.
What, you're saying that all those people were tall whites?
Well, maybe not Vishnu.
So you're saying Jesus was a tall white?
Look, this is going to get me into trouble with the Christians in the audience. I don't want to go there.
Okay, well,
Just like the
you
burning
said
bush and
When you said it,
you
I
know,
thought that when we last talked
the
about it, that you said that Jesus just consulted with the tall whites, not that he was one.
and
Did I get
it's
that
just
wrong?
like the fact that you hear that the tablets of Hammurabi and then later Moses, the Ten Commandments. He said it was as if it spoke to his mind. If I say that was mind control, it's going to piss off like at least 75% of the audience, 75% of the audience.
Well, you don't have to answer every question, or is that like a compulsion of your people?
They're not very good liars.
Well, you don't have to lie. You just don't have to answer. Trenton, was humanity originally a slave race for the aliens?
Yes and no. No, as in, okay, we came here and
When you say we, do you mean the Greys?
the Greys showed up long ass time ago, and he's been slowly tinkering with the primate DNA and pushing it in different directions, advancing it. Kind of you've seen the monolith, and then we scattered out the tall whites as kind of a mentors to help guide you towards civilization and continue to seed your genes with more evolutionary genes, and it was just kind of a mentor thing. And then the Reptoids showed up and they said, hey, slaves and dinner. And it's been a battle ever since.
Okay.
Just like the royal family. They're all fucking reptiles.
No, that I buy. I totally buy. I mean, you can't even poison them. Is Mark Zuckerberg an alien from Cesario?
No. And you know what? I understand why you would all joke that he's an alien. But the fact of the matter goes as follows. First off, he's not wearing a human suit, so no, he's not one of ours. Plus, he's a complete asshole.
I don't know. His eyeballs look like you could tap on them.
We don't know what the hell Zuckerberg is, but I'll tell you why he isn't a reptoid. Because reptoids are great mimics and actors. They're very good at lying and convincing people. If he were a reptoid, he'd be a more convincing human. You guys would definitely think he was a normal human, or at least be more convinced that he was human. The fact that you even suspect him as not being human is proof enough he's not a reptoid. We don't know what the fuck he is, but he isn't human. I mean, maybe a synthetic species come to screw everything up.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
maybe he is the living embodiment of Facebook.
Well, you know why he created Facebook, right? Nobody wanted to hang out with him in college. Not even his classmates wanted to. So he created Facebook so that so that he would actually have a social life because nobody wanted to be with him. The Ginger Orc to Anime Acid Trip.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry.
Bar One Studios. Bernie Sanders, gray, reptilian, or goblin?
None of the above. He's just a cranky old Jewish guy.
Yeah, he's just human. Yeah.
He's just really, really cranky. Yeah. I think he drinks a lot too.
Yeah. Endless Nocturne. Don't worry, Ishi. We just assume the Reptoids pulled one over on your people whenever you say something too crazy.
They did pull one on us. They've pulled one over on us quite a lot.
Yeah, but you've done it to them. So, it's tit for tat. Elton, are these modern space exploration games just a tool for your Greys to hide some of your story and the truth in plain sight?
No, that's your government's doing. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the big question is, how is it you've always been able to keep it secret? How is it the government keeps such an amazing thing secret? And the greatest discovery in all history, life in the universe, how can they keep it secret? Very easy. Very easy.
Tell everybody.
They've told everybody everything. I mean, it's all out there right in front of you. Close Encounters, what is it? Communion, books, movies,
Mass Effect.
yeah, Mass Effect. There's your Galactic Council.
Mm.
You just go across the board. You've got all these nonfiction books out there. You've got tell-alls from guys like Bob Lazar and Rick Doty and what's his name? Tuttle. I forget his full name. But there's a full list of, there's all these people out there just saying what really is going on. And then the government just seeds out there with tons and tons of believable bullshit and crazy bullshit. And then we seed out their movies that say some of the crazy bullshit and believable bullshit. It just keeps going on and on. We admit we helped them out with this some. Like when the Phoenix Lights happened. How are you going to deny that UFOs exist? We buzzed the fucking city. But then everyone just kind of passed it off as though it must have been flares. There was the spaceship in the tail of the comet.
Yeah, that's a sad story.
So, that's how they've been able to hide it for so long, is they're not hiding anything. They're just confusing everyone.
Wolf 10, what about Elvis from Perfect Dark?
I don't know.
That video game? John Ivantaro, who's winning in the war so far, Reptoids or the Greys?
Hard call. We were doing pretty good there for a while, but I don't know. Seems like the forces of the NWO have been rallying and are quite unhappy about losing for so long. So we'll see. We might have to whip out the particle beams and quantum death rays.
Matt C. Black oil in the X-Files. Why does it run up your skin and into your eyeballs, and does it tickle when this happens?
Because Chris Carter ran out of ideas, and he'd screwed up his mythology so much that he had to cook up something to sew it all together. And he came up with the black oil. Now, an interesting fact about the X-Files, though, is that one of the number one sources of all information and disinformation for UFOs, a Air Force intelligence man by the name of Rick Doty, real person. I'll even type out his name so you can look him up.
You just typed it into the chat. Doty, D-O-T-Y.
Rick Doty worked for Air Force intelligence, and his job was to go around and release real information spliced in with fake information. And he went to numerous journalists, Linda Moulton Howe being one of them, for instance, and he always had the same routine where he'd bring them into a room with a couple of MIBs. He'd give them a few briefcases and say, you can go through all this information. You can't take notes. Memorize whatever you want and leave. And that was his tactic. He did that with multiple people. He hired science fiction writers to help him write novels, which were mixed with real information and fake information. It's believed he was the one that released the MJ-12 documents. He faked UFO crashes where he'd actually had the Air Force go out and assemble crash sites using old aircraft parts, and then flying, actually it was Benowitz, Paul Benowitz,
yeah,
a true believer, over the site and saying, look, there's the crash you detected. So this guy was an expert. He came up with a ton of stuff, and there's a number of books that I know for a fact he's tied to. And his trick was always to mix real information and real events with disinformation. And the question is, what's real and what isn't? Now, some of it historically can be proved, as we know, as fact, and others will turn out to be fact years and years later, which just makes it even more confusing. Mm-hmm. And that's happened because this guy's had been active since, I believe, the 70s. Now, here's the fun part. He was an advisor on the X-Files. He had a major part in suggesting various plot lines and details for the X-Files. I also believe he was involved with Bob Lazar on some point. And interestingly enough, Alan J. Hynek, who I believe is he's a scientist for Project Blue Book, and I believe he's now a professional disinformation, or was, he's dead now. That he went on from being a legit scientist to a disinformation specialist, was one of the key advisors on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and was the one that suggested how the aliens should look to Spielberg.
Interesting.
And that the entire event was loosely based on a supposed real event at Holloman Air Force Base, in which I think it was Eisenhower met with aliens.
Oh, okay.
It was the basis. But this has been a long history. There was a Disney documentary, yes, Disney, that the DOD was involved with and helped them make the film. And at the 11th hour, they forced Disney to remove the best footage.
Really?
Yeah, the most convincing footage.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting world to go into. I would say the best book on it is called.
He's typing it into the chat.
The Mirage Men. Great book.
And didn't they do a documentary by that name
and
too?
If reading's too hard for you,
Whoops.
There is a good documentary, which is kind of a short form version of it. Okay, go through here and find a few questions, and we're gonna conk out because I'm running out of steam.
I am too, actually. Let's see here. Well, how about that one from David Jack? About the Reptoids' war on your people. Is it like the war between the Assassins and Templars from Assassin's Creed, except with aliens?
I've never played the game. I'm very sorry.
That's okay. I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't get into that series.
Okay, tell you what. You've got a lot of questions here in the chat. I'll write them down and I'll answer them next week in the Q&A segment.
Okay.
All right. I'm worn out. In the meantime, we didn't get our stream killed this time.
No,
although we're going to move to Twitch and probably find a way to stream without one of these channels, so that we'll never get censored again. But in the meantime, show me some love. Show this humble alien speaking the truth to you weekly some love. Go over to Amazon.com and spend 99 cents to get my book, Scars. A heartwarming tale about a fallen astronaut, a hyper-intelligent rat, and post-traumatic stress.
Or if you've already picked it up, please leave a review.
And believe it or not, it really is, at a time like this when everything seems to be going to shit, it's an uplifting story. You feel good afterwards. That's what people keep telling me.
You do. You do feel good afterwards. And I'm not just saying that.
It's the ultimate buddy story. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, God. Unsolved Mysteries had the best fucking theme, but Sightings was more fun.
And the host.
Oh, Richard Stack.
Richard Stack was so much better than Tim White.
Yeah, Tim White had nothing on Richard Stack. So I'd say presentation-wise, Unsolved Mysteries was where it was at.
Yeah.
But as far as full-on balls out crazy,
Sightings.
Sightings.
Yeah.